6th. We'll go ahead and get started. We've got quite a bit to get through today. My name is Zach Einerson. I'm the client engagement lead, here at SafeAbroad. And we've got quite a few folks that are going to share their immense knowledge with the group about what's happening around the world. So with that, the agenda today is there. So we'll kind of go through it in terms of everybody will kind of introduce themselves in their own respective parts. We've got recent incidents and then the month ahead as well. And in the interest of time, we won't kind of go through all of them one by one, but we will. You'll see the details as we go through the presentation, the briefing. So, starting with recent incidents, and we'll start with Kenya.
So hi everyone, I am Ellen. I'm the client work manager here at SafeAbroad. I'm going to start us off with Kenya today. Notably, there has been protests, anti-government protests throughout the country, starting since June 25th. This is ongoing. However, we wanted to highlight July 7th. These were commemorative nationwide protests held in commemoration of the Saba Saba People's March in 1990. These protests unfortunately turned violent in many locations. About 31 people were killed as protesters and police clashed. So travelers were advised to leave the area at any sign of unrest and to closely monitor local news for updates.
I think I lost audio for a second. Sorry. You finished with that slide, Ellen. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went mute for me anyway. Sorry, I apologize. Moving on to South Korea. Thank you.
Hey folks, I'm Cooper Holmberg. I'm an intelligence analyst intern here at SafeAbroad for the summer. One of our major weather disasters this past month was flooding in South Korea. Unfortunately, 19 people were killed, and a few more were injured as a result. The major impacts of these floods were the 14,000 folks that had to be evacuated across the southern and western part of the country, and this led to major flooding and landslides. Travelers were, of course, advised to heed the warnings from authorities, and especially if they were within those 14,000 that had to be evacuated. And then after that, monitor local media to ensure that routes were safe to travel before heading out. Thank you.
Righty, and then we have the Philippines. This is once again an ongoing incident. So starting on July 22nd, there were some pretty severe tropical storms in the Philippines that caused severe flooding in Metro Manila and other areas. So flights at Manila's largest airport were canceled between July 24th and 26th, about 100 flights. And so far, 40 people have been killed and about $334 million in estimated damages have occurred. So these rainfall and flood-related disruptions are still ongoing. Travelers are advised to avoid any non-essential travel to the areas, as many people have been evacuated as well. To confirm local road conditions and to follow all evacuation and safety directives from authorities.
Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline. I'm also one of the intelligence analyst interns at SafeAbroad. On July 24th, clashes broke out between Cambodia and Thailand along their shared border. They broke out amidst the Thai army's attempts to close the border following a downgrade of diplomatic relations on July 23rd. The clashes lasted for 5 days until a tentative ceasefire started on July 29th. As of yet, that ceasefire has still held. However, it is very fragile at the moment. There have been a lot of tensions between their defense ministers, although this coming Thursday, there will be a meeting in Malaysia between both Cambodia and Thailand's defense ministers to hopefully strengthen up that ceasefire. But until then, there is still possibility of clashes on the border. During the 5 days of conflict, at least 43 people were killed and 300,000 on both sides of the border displaced. During the conflict, travelers were advised to avoid all travel to or near the border area, confirm the viability of any routes before setting out, exercise enhanced caution, and then monitor local media for any updates on the situation.
All right, next up we have Egypt. Well, actually globally, but these protests took place at Egyptian embassies all across the world on July 26th. They were organized to call for the opening of the Rafah border crossing between Egypt and Palestine. The protests occurred at least 16 embassies, and notably activists blocked entrance to the embassies, even sometimes locking the doors. The protesters were calling on the Egyptian president to allow humanitarian aid through the Rafah border crossing. Travelers were warned of risks to bystanders of these protests and to avoid the general area. Additionally, they were warned to anticipate a heightened security presence around the embassies. Alrighty, so moving on to some future events that we're looking at here as a team. So starting July 30th and then all the way into September in Romania, unionized teachers will hold weekly protests every Wednesday through September 3rd. About 200 teachers are anticipated to gather at each of these different protests, and they're organized by teachers' unions to against policies proposed by the Ministry of Education, and that these policies may threaten wages and other benefits for teachers. Just like most protests, travelers are advised to avoid the area and use alternate routes. However, we don't anticipate that this protest will turn into anything violent. From August 5th to the 25th, there will be scheduled maintenance along railways in Italy. Several rail lines will be affected, which you can find more information about this on the Tren Italia and Italo websites. But several different lines will be affected up to 2 hours each time. This especially could affect students returning home from summer study abroad, so then going to Italy to study abroad, as this is a very common study abroad destination. So travelers should just really keep an eye on the closure schedule and to anticipate delays and to allow additional travel time when getting to destinations.
Hey, I'm Ainsley Gossett. I'm another intelligence analyst intern. I'm going to talk about an upcoming strike in Edinburgh. Transit services operated by the East Coast Bus Company will be disrupted between August 8th and 15th due to a planned worker strike. This will disrupt transportation during Edinburgh's Fringe Festival, which draws about 3 million tourists annually, as well as transportation to scheduled concerts by Oasis. These are happening on August 8th, 9th, and 12th at the Murrayfield Stadium. The concerts are expected to draw an additional 210,000 in addition to the tourists there for Fringe. So travelers are advised to prepare for significant disruptions just getting around Edinburgh and getting to the stadium if the concerts are being attended. So consider using the ScotRail for travel as opposed to buses and just anticipate major delays.
And then starting August 8th through September 1st over consecutive weekends, SPdH Menzies ground workers and baggage handlers will strike nationwide across Portugal. The strikes will begin at 12 a.m. on that Friday and end at 11:59 p.m. The following Monday. This is related to demands by the SEMA union related to improved wages and working conditions. In fact, this union has launched criminal complaints against the company on these grounds. While numbers haven't been given for a prior strike that happened July 25th through 28th about how many flights were canceled. Significant disruptions are expected, and it has been reported that at least 70 flights were canceled at Lisbon Airport during that strike period. So SafeAbroad travelers are advised to reconfirm any flights scheduled to arrive or depart during the strikes, anticipate significant delays at airport baggage claim and handling, and adjust any travel plans accordingly.
And then moving right along from August 16th to 31st in Belgium, trains will be canceled on the Eurostar network. Travelers should especially be aware of disruptions on the Brussels Ring Road. So this is because of planned maintenance operations between high-speed lines in between Brussels and France. So Safe Abroad travelers should expect travel disruptions, make alternative travel plans, and also anticipate potential residual delays from this maintenance. Finally, just kind of a general incident here from August to September will be typhoon season in Japan. The most extreme activity of the typhoon season. So last year, Japan experienced 2 typhoons that caused travel disruptions and left many people stranded for days on end. So this is definitely something to keep an eye on. However, Japan does have different emergency alert systems for these kinds of weather events that travelers should be keeping an eye on. Also, travelers should take care to keep all essential documentation and medication together in one place where they can access it quickly, and preferably in a waterproof container of sorts in the event of flooding or severe rainfall.
All right, well, that brings us to the end. Thank you all very much for that in-depth analysis of the events going on in the past month and also upcoming. This is just kind of a reminder, those of you that are here, about the services that Safe Abroad provides to our partner institutions and providers, from the global risk intelligence, travel safety wellness, analyst staff support, site assessments, and program and staff development, to include a lot of certifications. So if you have any questions about any of those, please contact us at contact@safeabroad.org or the phone number there. With that, we will leave you for the rest of your day. We appreciate your attendance, and we'll talk again soon.